Let's begin today's council meeting. Ms. Orozco, would you please lead us in this flag salute?
Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mary, could we please begin with roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Scott Funk,
Present.
Councilmember Liz Silva,
Present.
Councilmember Lorraine Worthy,
Present.
Councilmember Maria Orozco,
Present.
and Mayor Jose Rios.
Present. All right. We're gonna begin, we're gonna move a couple items around, so I hope people have a little patience with me. We're gonna, instead of recognize the athletes at the beginning, we're gonna recognize them next. First, we're gonna recognize our new city employees. Is that you, Carmen, or Patrick?
He's walking up. Yep.
Mayor Rios,
Sorry.
council members, we have two public works employees to introduce them to the community. First one's Frankie Nava, started with us a while ago. I'm a little late in getting him up here, but it was hiring our next public works worker was like, oh yeah, I need to introduce him to the council. So Frankie grew up here in Gonzales. Grew up, raised, family's all here. Family owned businesses here, so they're pretty good into the communities themselves. So anyway, Frankie Nava started with us, what, a year and a half ago? Anyway, anything else to say to us?
Started a year and a half ago. I enjoy it. It's pretty fun. Enjoying meeting everybody, just doing the job around the city.
Good.
Hopefully I see you guys and talk to you guys more.
Yeah,
Awesome.
welcome.
Did you tell everybody about your great basketball skills?
No, Rios will tell you that. He's coaches, so he's got some stories of us. Hopefully we get another gym soon.
That's all right.
For the kids, yes.
Thank you, Frankie.
All right, thank you. All right.
Welcome. Yeah, now we have two Franks.
And this is Efren Nunez, started for us the week of Thanksgiving, so fairly new, and also grew up. Yeah. Here in Gonzales and all that, so maintenance worker, one, and I'll let anything else, whatever, take it away. What else can you want to share with the council?
Just thank you for having me along on board with you guys and willing to grow with the company and well, that's pretty much it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
And just to reiterate, it's great to have public works staff who lives in town, can respond quickly to any needs. Sorry.
That's neat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It is nice to have employees that live in town and can, in case of emergency, we can call them and know that we're able to reach them locally.
That's all right.
I think I still have your number, Frankie, so.
There you go.
All right, moving on. Probably one of the most favorite parts of this time on the board has been being able to recognize future young leaders. And the three young men we're going to be celebrating today are Gonzales High School athletes, Giovanni Ochoa, cross country, and Adrian Perez. And I never knew your name was Juan Pablo Ayala. I always knew him as JP when he was playing basketball. So we're here to recognize him tonight. Scott, would you come up with me and read the recognitions, please?
Giovanna? Let me read it through. Or- On behalf of the City Council of the City of Gonzales, we would like to express our congratulations and recognition for accomplishing Cypress League Division Championship, earning all league first team, placing top 7 in the Central Coast section, 68th qualifier for state championships, most valuable performer, and 4.0 GPA scholar athlete. We are proud of your accomplishments and for representing our school, community, and families with the highest degree of integrity, dignity, and sportsmanship. Once again, congratulations and go Spartans, Giovanni Ochoa.
Oh, by the way, it's only 2 years, so wiped out state next year, state champion, I'm pretty sure. We also have, I believe we have his, coaches, I know I saw Mrs. Daniels and Mr. Hilliard over here.
Yeah.
Glad to see you.
And actually, Coach.
This is
Mayor,
Dale's
actually,
third
Coach
time.
Daniels next.
Oh, okay, he's already told me everybody thinks you do well.
There's no amendment, Marky.
All right, so next up, Coach Margie Daniels. On behalf of the City Council of the City of Gonzales, we would like to express our congratulations and recognition for leading Giovanni Ochoa. For leading Giovanni Ochoa achieve various accomplishments in the 2023-2024 cross-country season. We thank you for your commitment and for devoting so much of your time to providing a positive and enriching experience to our youth. Once again, congratulations for a job well done.
Well, Gio is, he's built different. Not only is he a great athlete, but he's a great person, a great captain, and he's a scholar athlete. This is his second time, his second appearance at the state championship meet. And he made history by becoming the Cypress Division champion. And he's breaking his own record and he's staying on top of his studies. And after tonight, he will be on his way back to Rabobank to help our boys soccer team win against NBC. So congrats. It's awesome coaching him, and just watching him compete is just a whole nother level. So very proud, very proud.
Coach Ramirez, on behalf of the City Council of the City of Gonzales, we would like to express our congratulations and recognition for leading Giovanni Ochoa achieve various accomplishments in the 23-24 cross-country season. We thank you for your commitment and for devoting so much of your time to providing a positive and enriching experience to our youth. Once again, congratulations for a job well done.
Just like to say, this doesn't get old. We have great kids at Gonzales. Giovanni's sister is also competing for Fresno State. She competed in the regional NCAA Division I championships. And I know that Giovanni's gonna do some great things. He follows our lead as far as what we expect, and he leads by example. And it's a pleasure to coach, but it comes from having a strong family. Thank you.
I'm always amazed at you, but that's what I used to make as a punishment for basketball players. Fun.
That's right.
I know they do it for fun. I don't get that, but it's great.
Going to football, Juan Pablo Acosta Ayala. On behalf of the City Council of the City of Gonzales, we would like to express our congratulations and recognition for accomplishing top passer in league, first team quarterback, breaking records for yards thrown in a season, most completions, CCS scholar athlete, selected for the All-Star game, and 4.0 GPA scholar athlete. We are proud of your accomplishment and for representing your school, community, and families with the highest degree of integrity, dignity, and sportsmanship. Once again, congratulations and go Spartans. Coach Perez. Coach Adrian Perez. Or I'm sorry, not Coach, Adrian Perez. We're gonna make it Coach Bud. On behalf of the City Council of the City of Gonzales, we would like to express our congratulations and recognition for accomplishing top receiver in league, first team wide receiver, first team defensive back, player of the year, second place for most receptions in a game, tied for second with 98 yards kickoff return, and selected for the All-Star game. We are proud of your accomplishment and for representing your school, community, and families with the highest degree of integrity, dignity, and sportsmanship. Once again, congratulations and go Sports Spartans. Yeah. And one more real quick. Coach Ramirez. Coach Eddie Ramirez. On behalf of the City Council of the City of Gonzales, we would like to express our congratulations and recognition for leading Adrian Perez and Juan Pablo Acosta Ayala achieve various accomplishments in the 23-24 football season. We thank you for your commitment and for devoting so much of your time to providing a positive and enriching experience to our youth. Once again, congratulations for a job well done.
Just want to say thank you for recognizing these guys. They really work hard. They're student athletes first. They're just good role models for their peers. I'm proud of them, everything that we're able to accomplish. And they set the bar high. So the best is yet to come. I want to see these guys go to the next level. I'm looking forward to see what they can accomplish. And go Spartans.
Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to just interject and thank Coach Ramirez and his football team. They also are good leaders in that they do volunteer work. They helped us out quite a bit with the American Legion this past year. And I just want to thank you because to see all those boys show up to help out was amazing and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, while they're coming up to the front, I want to commend all of you for being here. And like your coach said, first for being scholars and for being great football players, and also for the commitment you all have for our community. I know you've also helped out at our local cemetery for cleanup days. So thank you for all you do.
This one will feel like we're taller than you guys. Get up there, Margie.
I know, can you get us all in?
Squeeze in the middle. For those of us that are vertically.
Awesome. Just watch out for the cords. Sorry. Oops, oops. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Good job. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
I got to tell you, I've known all these young men for a while, and I'm very impressed by the fact that they're such dedicated athletes with that kind of GPA. The world is yours. You can be whatever you want to be. Keep that same commitment, and I guarantee you, you want to be billionaires, you can be billionaires. I have no doubt. I'm hoping for a doctor, but you know what? Billionaires are okay too. Thank you again. for representing us so well. All right, we're moving on. Public comment. Any member of the public may address the council for a period of not to exceed 3 minutes on any subject not on the agenda. The council will listen to all comment, but will take no action or comment. Anyone wishing to speak to the council at this moment may step up to the podium. See anybody? Okay,
There's one.
well,
My name's Ruben Zarita. I've spoken to the council on several occasions dating back to August 2023. We all aware about the dangers of illegal fireworks. It's only a matter of time before the next incident. And all we can do is pray that a child is not involved in the next incident. At this time, I'm asking again for the establishment of fireworks safety committee be placed on the agenda for the next meeting.
thank you.
Henry Martinez, 112 10th Street. I got a notice saying that Maria Orozco is running for a chair somewhere. Can she hold 2 offices? Elective offices? That's one of my questions. Then the other one is, we were told by the council and the chief of police, which I said I had no confidence in him, that it's gonna take 6 months for the officer to be trained to fly the drone. And the other day, 3 days in a row, 3 days, about a month ago, we spotted the drone flying. We drove to the police station. My grandkid and I yelled, "Look, there's the people flying the drones." And they picked up the drone and ran into the office from the back of the police station. My question is, he promised us 6 months to be trained to fly the drone. This is not even 6 months and they're flying the drone. Where is the missing person? Where is the fireworks? Where is the crime that we don't have crime in Gonzales? According to him, there is no crime. Why was it flying towards the north? Where everybody spots it and calls me that's flying to the north. Please fly it south, fly it over the mayor's house, please, no offense. Fly it over the mayor's house. Don't fly it north. I get phone calls saying it's flying. My knowledge of it is, was it a practice flight? Was there the guy from the company there to observe them fly it? To my knowledge, they're not certified yet. Why are we flying the drone without the company's representative flying with them? If they're not certified to fly it, why are they flying it? He lied to us. That's what I said he was going to do. They flew it. A lot of witnesses. I chased down the drone back to the police station. And him to say that they will only just fly it for no crime that we have in Gonzales. Where's the fireworks? Where's the missing person? I'll tell you how to find a missing person. You call the neighborhood. Say there's a kid missing in your block. And we'll look for the kid or person in our block. We're not Salinas. We're not Phoenix. We're just 20 miles wide that you need the drone. You can call us. Hey, Mayor, there's a person missing in your area. Oh, Henry, there's someone missing over by 10th Street. You lie to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Martinez. I'm gonna step aside on this one because I think we need to, Chief, I'd like you to comment on why the drone's out there. I know why it's out there, and I understand the rationale and the reason for it. But I think if you would enlighten Mr. Martinez on the drone issue, I'd appreciate that.
Sure, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to. You know, some people can say what they want to say, doesn't necessarily make anything true, what they say. We have received training through the federal government, FAA administration. We have a certified pilot through the police department. It wasn't an easy task to achieve, but we've done it. We have a tight policy regarding when we use the drone, under what circumstances we deploy the drone. Part of that, ongoing training, requires a practice flight. It's all it consists of is a couple minutes of, getting it airborne and landing it 3 times a month. Because it's new to us, I'd like to continue the proficiency in the use of the drone. And I've allowed some extra time during those training days to do more than just up and down flight. It was deployed 3 times for training purposes. Matter of fact, it was deployed on New Year's Eve, into New Year's morning. So we're certainly within our lawful guidelines and the requirements to use, possess, the drone. So, if
And
anyone
how many
has any
officers?
questions regarding the policy, it's on the website, it's on Facebook, it's on, it's our SOP.
And I'm assuming you're training all the officers, not just one.
No, it's one pilot. Yeah, we're not training multiple pilots, it's one pilot.
Oh, we're not?
Yeah.
I would assume that it would be, that one pilot could be on vacation, could be
Well,
his day off.
it could be the case, but for now, we have one pilot.
Okay.
Sorry?
The pilot had to get certified,
Absolutely.
so the process for
It's a process of certification, and that's why we only have one person certified so far. So we could get others, but it's a long and lengthy process for them to even achieve certification and to understand the rules and regs as how the drone could be used by the police department, by the city for that matter.
But for now, we have one pilot. We do have another pilot looking at for backup, but he has not been trained yet, so he's not gonna be doing anything with the drone as of now. So,
I have a question.
sure.
Will it be a consistent time when you guys will fly the drone, or will it be all of them?
Different times. It's pre-authorized by me, based on the pilot's availability, the dates that he has selected to fly it, and he provides me with the location, change the location. But I know beforehand the dates and times that we fly. So if anyone has any questions, reach out directly to me, and I'll be more than happy to talk to them about it and answer questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any
No, but we do need to bring it back to the public comment, that we don't have.
Yeah,
a
I will,
agenda.
I will.
I know, but we shouldn't be taking questions.
I feel very uncomfortable. This item is not on the agenda, and it's a public comment, and
Well,
you
if
know,
you
we
had
should-
questions I was talking about chief, specifically questions about the training.
But the point is, it's not an agendized item.
Right.
Right.
Okay, we'll bring it back to comments from the public, not on the agenda. Thank you, chief, for clarifying that.
Roman Barba, 123 Second Street. Rosa, I can't remember her last name, but she came up here probably about a couple months ago talking about poop all over the city of Gonzales, at the parks, the church, on sidewalks. Well, from walking my dogs, usually I'm on a bike, but usually when I'm on a bike, I don't notice it, but when I'm walking my dogs, yeah, she's right. She's absolutely right. There's poop all over the sidewalks, the Lily Park, the church, everywhere you go. But I noticed that, I never noticed before because I was on my bike, but I noticed people with their dogs, right? I think 50% of the people who are walking their dogs have them on a leash, and the other 50% just have them running them all over the place. So those dogs are just roaming. And then the other day, I have cameras in my house. So there's a dog that's been pooping in my yard, right? So, so it happens to be one of my neighbor's dogs. He just lets his dog loose and opens the door and lets him out. So that dog poops anywhere. So I'm just wondering, who's in charge of making sure that these dogs are on leashes when they're walking their dogs? They make sure that that's because you see them all over, dogs running all over, even the people are pulling their dogs out, they're actually just letting them loose. So, but that's an issue with the poop, Another thing I want to talk about was the drone. I just wondered if you're flying a drone, are you gonna let us know on the website if that thing's gonna be flown at this time? On the city website, okay, say if it's gonna happen on a Friday, and you put it on the website on Monday, say, hey, this drone is gonna be flying, I guess some training on Friday at this time, and you post it online. That way the public knows this drone being flying and these guys are training. And then to find out which officer is getting trained on it, right? And then who is the person that's training that the officer flying it? So I think all that should be on public on the city websites. That way the public knows and we know that this thing's getting flying. And then to list, if it's gonna be flown on 4th of July, to let the people know on the website that this drone is gonna be flying on the 4th of July. And at what times? Thanks.
Anyone else? I don't either. Marisol, do we have anyone via Zoom?
No comments via Zoom.
Mary, do we have any comments via email?
No comments via email.
Thank you. That being said, we'll go ahead and close the public comment period and then we'll move on to the rest of the council agenda. We are going to insert, it'll be item number 13, emergency repairs to the wastewater treatment plant. And so,
Through the mayor, we do have to actually take action to add that item to the agenda. And so we actually need a motion. The government code does allow you to add an item to the agenda on an emergency basis by way of a formal vote. And it needs to be a 2/3 vote, which in our case would be 4 members of the 5-member council. And the necessary prerequisites to adding an item to the agenda is that there was a need to take immediate action, and no one at the agency knew about the item until after the agenda was posted. And I can represent to you on behalf of the staff that that is the situation here. There's clearly, as you will hear from Patrick in his oral staff report, a need to take immediate action. And the need to take action, there was not a final conclusion as to whether or not we were really going to have to declare an emergency until today. My recommendation is that you go ahead and take a vote to add the item to the agenda.
and this is due to all the storm related issues.
It is related to the atmospheric river that hit the whole state, but also as well as obviously Monterey County.
Okay. That being said, do I have a motion to add that item to the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. All right. Moving on with the agenda, we have the consent agenda, items 5 through 10. If you've all had an opportunity to review that, or if you have any items that you'd like to have pulled, I'll entertain that comment now.
I just have a question on a couple of the warrants.
Okay. Do you want, anyone from the public have an item on the agenda they would like to have pulled? Seeing none, then I'll just bring it
Just-
back to Ms. Orozco.
Thank you. So warrant 49738 and 49739, they're both of them are for PG&E. One is 4,235 and the other one is 21,076. Are those for 2 separate buildings?
They're usually not for separate buildings, they are for the entire, but some of them are multiple.
Okay.
Some of them are for multiple invoices, but I can get you more information on
Okay.
that.
That's fine. Thank you.
Let me build on that to say it also includes our streetlights.
Got it. Thank you.
Is that satisfactory?
Yes.
Okay. I have a motion and a second what, I'm sorry. Do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda is complete. Moving on to item number 11. This is probably one of my favorite ones as well. Update on our community center project. Mr. Dobbins, I'm assuming?
Correct. Mayor Rios, council members, good evening. It's been a couple months since we had a progress report to you. It was our one and only council meeting in December, and there's been a good amount of progress made. And we do have the design build team sitting in the front row here. I'll be turning this over to Brandon, and Lauren, who's the interior designer, will be assisting with that. So let's see. As the council's aware, construction is expected to be phased unless we can find the funding to go into phase two. But phase one is the Teen Innovation Community Library, meeting rooms, restrooms, courtyard, including the amphitheater, and a lot of site improvements. So that's the parking, all the basic flat work. Phase two will be the community center. And that's comprised of the community hall, fitness center, commercial kitchen, meeting rooms, and more bathrooms. So here's some updates to share. Project continues to be on track. WRNS made their 75% construction document submittal on January 19th, right on schedule. And just to make a point that is stated in the staff report, the plan sets 185 sheets. It's a lot to chew through, but there's quite a few sub-consultants working with WRNS, landscaping, electrical, mechanical, the list goes on and on. Well, site civil is another one. So that submittal was reviewed by city staff and our different consultants, including our contract building official. We returned comments last Wednesday to WRNS. And then the final construction documents will be submitted at the end of February for building code review, city building issuance. And that's also when auto construction will be finalizing their subcontractor bids. You might have noticed last week, there was a geotechnical firm out there doing some soil borings and percolation tests. That's to augment the soils report and geotechnical investigation obtained 10 years ago. But the building moved a little bit, and so we needed to get some borings under that building footprint, as a matter of fact. And so that work was completed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They got out just before the recent rain started. Other items of note is that the design build teams has begun coordinating with PG&E on the surface application. There was a virtual meeting last Friday with the PG&E, and they'll be getting a service application in within the next week. And what else? The design build team met with the GYC earlier today. GYC meeting was at 4 o'clock. They spent almost 2 hours with the GYC stepping through, and actually this is what the table's for here. They'll be showing off some of the building finishes, carpet, things of that nature. And I think the last item that I have is, one of the advantages of design build is getting the field work started before issuing the building permits. So we'll have the site civil lockdown. They can start site clearing, site grading, begin a little bit on the underground utilities before the building permit is issued. So that would be done under a grading permit. And that's expected to begin in mid-April. We are planning, as you know, the groundbreaking for phase one, Saturday, April 27th. So with that, I'll turn it over to Brandon. He has a slide deck. I also want to point out Luis Flores with Harrison Associates, construction manager on this, is here also.
Thank you, Patrick. Sorry. Okay. Great. Okay. Hello. It's good to see you all again. I think this is the first, it's the first time in 2024. But we always enjoy coming out here, and we had a great time with the GYC a little bit just before this. And it's a really good time for us to kind of share with you where we are. We're about 2.5 weeks away from our submission for construction documents, as Patrick mentioned. And so we're coming very close to finishing our scope of work in terms of the design process. And then we'll be observing construction as well during that time. But I think it's just an exciting moment to be here. It's exciting to know that this is a few weeks or months around the corner before for groundbreaking, and also see that the students are also really excited for it as well. And we hope that you all are as well. So just a quick schedule situator. We have our construction period coming up starting April 29th and we'll go until November 4th, 2025. And we're in for permit in the next 3 weeks. And then kind of a more granular look. And so we are currently, there's a window in front of it, but we're currently in this this week here. That's kind of behind the screen, the little picture there. Week 15 of our construction document period, and we are starting to collect the drawings from our consultants to piece those all together as and putting together the full set that we'll be submitting to the city for the 100% CD package. Okay, and then I'm going to stop sharing here and share the fly through. Okay, and so some of you may have seen this already. I think that we had provided this as just an instrument of show of where we are. So I'll play this through. And
So we get over.
And so this is just kind of taking us around the building, giving us glimpses at specific areas of interest. So entries to buildings. We'll come around back through the courtyard, see some of the furnishings for the courtyard, the layout of the courtyard, and how that interacts with the spaces that we have coming right directly off the courtyard. So community hall, the teen center, and how those kind of bleed into the courtyard. And you can start to imagine how program and function might spill out and be kind of an indoor-outdoor type thing. Okay. Go back to and so that was, we put that together in December. So there's been a few more design updates since then. We've also progressed some of our visuals to bring a little bit more energy to the images and show sort of the what you all should start to expect as this project is built. Okay, and so again, kind of situating us, we've got our main three kind of components, the library here, community hall here, and teen center here. And we think that those are really the anchors of the community center. But in addition to that, we still have all of these other facility programs that are within the space, and then our EV parking and parking lot, and then the hydro seed area that will be used for flexible space for some additional outdoor activity beyond just the courtyard. And then, oops, too far. Sorry. And then here, so again, just kind of situating what you guys are going to see in the next few images. And so each of these red markers is just a point where we are shooting an image for our renderings. And so we'll walk through them and kind of reference back to this. But essentially, we've got a couple renderings that are from that entry corner into the building. We've got one rendering within the teen innovation lab. We've got one rendering within the teen lounge, one in the classroom area here, one that looks onto the courtyard, or sorry, through the courtyard at the teen center, one that's through the courtyard at the amphitheater, and then a couple within the community hall, fitness, and a couple other exterior ones that give you kind of an idea of what those entry kind of portals are like. So the first one, and so this is the same one that's up on the board that's behind us, but we think that this is a view that kind of gives you a good idea of the full campus. You can you can make out the anchor points with the library being front, the community hall in the back, and the teen center. On the right, you've got Fifth Street here, and showing the entry coming in with the little drop-off space here. And then a view that's more of a person's perspective, really looking at that kind of grand, glassy sort of beacon as an entry to the complex, and really getting a feeling of what the teens might experience as they're coming across the street from school after they've wrapped up their studies and are heading over to the teen center. Entry into the courtyard, it's kind of the main entry to the space, as well as the entry into the library here, with the community center offices on the left, and the space in front with the kind of angled paving. That's where the main drop-off is for the project. And then coming around from there, this is looking at the entry to the community hall. Same kind of glassy beacon, which is, I think this one is particularly interesting because you get this view that goes through this large glass on the corner and goes out goes out beyond the glass on the other side of the wall or the room and looks into the courtyard as well. Then a view from the courtyard looking at the amphitheater. So you can see that right now the glazed folding doors are open in this rendering to give you this idea that there may be performances that have this dual aspect where people can be viewing it from the interior or from the exterior. We have our amphitheater area here with our seat wall and a sloped seating area in front of that to provide kind of like the stadium viewing. And then there's a built-up mound of grass behind that can act as additional seating to view any of the performances, but also with the intent of it being sort of a playful area for kids to run up and down a hill within a protected space. Okay, then looking the opposite direction at the teen center, some of you may have seen this image before. We've used it for a couple other reasons to show some of the additions of color to the interior courtyard that act as additional ways of wayfinding. And so those kind of signify where we have the restroom blocks that are accessed from the courtyard. And then a few interior views as well. And so this is a view from the Teen Innovation Lab in kind of like a meeting setting. All of the furniture is meant to be very flexible in terms of storage plus how it can be arranged so that there can be multiple functions of the space using the same types of furniture that will be located within the space. There's a small kind of kitchenette behind, less a kitchenette, but sink kind of area for anything that they might be needing to regularly kind of wash their hands from if they're doing some kind of lab or fun experiment with different materials. There's whiteboard on the side, and then there's tackable surfaces on the opposite side of the opening for that small little kitchenette space. And then a look into the teen lounge. And so it's kind of lounge / game room. The big corner windows here open up out onto Fifth Street, and then the large windows on this left side open out onto the courtyard. We included some nook spaces so that there's some areas that imply a little bit more intimacy, imply a little bit more privacy, and that was something that the team specifically requested in our engagement sessions with them. And then a look at the classroom, which is adjacent to the teen lounge. And this just acts as a classroom function. It's approximately 400 square feet. And it's got whiteboard on one side with screen or monitor on the opposite side. a peek at the gym, and this is one of the components that is a little less settled in terms of design build out. It will depend on who the third party that comes in is to operate the space, but the shell of it with the mirrors on the left side, the openness out into the courtyard, and the specific kind of gym flooring are all part of our design scope. This space is intended to be able to also have an indoor-outdoor aspect to it. So the large doors over here lead out onto an exterior resilient surface where people can do yoga, they can bring weights, and they're not just working out on a pad of concrete. And then into the community hall. So we put this image together thinking banquet. Lauren mentioned to me that this is more of a breakfast because there's croissants on the tables. But you can kind of see that, you know, this area here on the left is where we have those large sliding doors. And so having that space, being able to open up onto the exterior kind of adds to the area. I know that we talked a lot about how much space was, or what the capacity of these spaces were. And so we've done some things to try to be able to enlarge that space at times when it's nice outside and you can set tables up outside as well, and kind of have this additional space and flow in and out from that space. Behind is our food service alcove, and so that has access directly to the communal kitchen, and a small kind of like kitchen peninsula that can be used as a serving area for different foods, if it's a buffet style, or if there's a vendor, they can use that area to serve both the guests inside, and then there's a small window, a service window on the outside. So if people are outside, they don't necessarily have to come inside to access that. Oops. And then, as I was mentioning before, this kind of double aspect of openness with the large corner glazing and then the large glazing on the other side facing the courtyard really makes the space feel a lot larger than it is and very, very open. And then another view of the community hall in a performance setting. Can't really see it because of the chairs, but there's the temporary stage is built up back here. We dropped in a curtain to kind of hide anybody who's coming from the green room back and coming up onto the stage. They've got a little bit of protection back behind them, so they're not feeling awkward as performances are going on and they're getting ready to enter the stage. And then we have our materials palette. So this is meant to be a little bit more interactive. We've got a bunch of stuff on the table for you all to look at. Luis is going to come up with, with some samples of the exterior materials, and yeah, so as with any computer screen, sometimes when we're doing colors, it really depends on your graphic settings. So colors don't read the way that they might in real life. So the intent of seeing these samples is to give you guys the actual color that you should be expecting. And so these colors that are being passed around are for the ephes material, which is, I think it's about 80% of the exterior surface of the project. And for the most part, it's all the kind of off-white color. The green, the kind of salmon, and the kind of gold are the colors that we are using for those color pop areas that are starting to give you wayfinding around the restrooms. And then the darker gray, which is not that dark, but darker than the off-white, that's the color, the main color for the library itself. So the library will have its own singular color that is different from the rest of the campus, just to give that a little bit more significance as the entry point of the project. The other materials on here, or on the table here, that are also shown on the screen are the tile colors. So y'all are welcome, totally welcome to come up and take a look at them and yeah, and so those are used at each of the restroom vestibules, and in kind of this like popcorn color fashion here. And yeah, and then and then the Parklex is this big swatch here. And so that's the wood accent that you'll find on the other remaining 20% of the exterior of the building. Which one is it? The salmon is the one that's near the team lab here. The gold is the one at the family restrooms. And then the green is the one at the gendered bank in building B. And so I think we had shown some colors previously as we were developing a color scheme. And there were some suggestions that we got about trying to find something that tied in with the colors of the colors that Gonzalez has in their emblems. And so from the palette that was available to us with this particular type of tile, these were the ones that we felt were the closest in representing the colors of Gonzalez. And so they are meant to still be a little bit more muted than what's the badge on the website. But we feel like that also ties in a little bit more with the way that the project is, and sort of it's not too loud, but it's a nice balance. Yeah.
It just seems like it's not certified. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I know, I'm a visual person, so.
We will be leaving all of these here, so you all are welcome to grab them and take them out to the sun whenever you want. Okay, and then the last section here is donor acknowledgement. We've been working on kind of coming up with a scheme for how donors are acknowledged throughout the project. And so this kind of shows a map of where signage is, not just donor signage, but also typical code signage, and sort of the precedents that we're using for ways that we think are appropriate ways to recognize the donors throughout the project. And so don't strain your eyes on this too much. There's bigger images on the next page. But so this gives you an idea, like we've got our donor wall here, which will eventually end up in the community hall. We're talking about different options for where it might be located while building B is under construction. So one thought would be the library. There's been a couple other things that have been tossed around, but we're still kind of in the process of figuring that out. We've got kind of main identification signage here that we'll have at the Monterey County Library, or County Public Library, in front there. We've got a big monument sign coming up 5th Street. And then there's individual donor recognition for donors who have contributed to specific spaces, and specific program within the project. And so, for example, the Taylor Farms donation being earmarked for the teen center, the Jerry and Natalie Rava classroom, the Rubopura Family Amphitheater. And then there's also some thought that there may be a donor for the community hall. So there might be something else that goes on the exterior of the community hall. And so all of that is kind of coming into play as we're working out the final designs for signage. And then this slide here has larger images for you all to grasp and absorb. But the thought is that this the monument signage is something maybe not as large as this, but is very simple in its expression, kind of ties into something like this down here at the bottom where we have our amphitheater sign recognition, where it may just be like a recessed portion of the concrete, recessed lettering within the concrete. We're thinking something like this for the donors who are making individual or making contributions to specific spaces where they get their names big and bold. It acts as another way of wayfinding as well. And I can flip back to a couple of the images that have some of these kind of put into the rendering, but they're not fully fleshed out yet, but just as an idea. And then another component of the donor signage is the donor wall. And that will be for donors who have contributed certain amounts of money to the project, but without a specificity to the specific program or space. And so the thought is that that is more of an artistic piece that can be added onto where there may be some way of signifying the levels of donorship based on the size of the piece that they get their name on. And that, I think that's it. So I'm going to flip really quickly back to those images that have some of the thoughts on the donor signage, the exterior ones, just so that you guys, oh, there's one. So thinking, something like this, where it says it's going to say Taylor Farms Teen Center or Teen something, but being sort of part of the finish of the building. And so instead of having a plaque or instead of having press on letters, it's either something that's recessed into the plaster or is something that's protruding from the plaster, but is still kind of within the same material, and we'll have some readability from distance that can also help direct people in terms of wayfinding. And then the other one is, this one is open right now. If you have a chance to look at this file and zoom in, it says XX Family Community Hall. But the thought is that you get some big recognition there that's big and bold, and really identifies the space and the people who have contributed to it. That is it.
Thanks, Brandon. I just want to reiterate that we're really looking forward to the groundbreaking. This project is coming. It won't be that far in the future. So really looking to the community and other interested parties to come out to our groundbreaking April 27th. And that concludes our presentation. Ready for questions and any feedback.
Any council member have a question before we open it up to the public? I'll go ahead and
That's fine.
start on this side. Mr. Roscoe, any questions?
No,
Okay.
looks nice.
Scott, you're good?
No. It's great.
Liz?
No, the next 2 months are probably gonna just go slow.
Great, love the colors. Designs.
I had a couple of questions, and only from the concern that I have is that we're ordering everything in time. One of them is, I know that all new construction in the state of California, residential construction requires a certain amount of solar. Does this because this is, I'm assuming it would be considered commercial. Does this require a certain amount of solar?
So the building will be solar ready.
But it's not required? Is that what I'm
It's not
understanding?
required under code.
Okay, okay, as long as we're flying code.
Yeah.
The other concern that I had, by the way, I do like what I could see. Not completely everything, but I could see quite a bit of it. The interior with the trees, I think that is gonna look fantastic. My only concern is I hope it's not magnolia trees because they are famous for lifting sidewalks and curves and everything else. Or if those are considered, is there a way that, I know that there's, if you water in deeply, that the roots chase the water deep, and I don't know if that's part of this project is gonna be considered in this project. I love the idea of the trees because I think that'll be a great wind block and some great shading. So for when you have events there, you don't have to put up white tarps, you'll have all these great trees, a canopy of trees that will provide a lot of nice shading. And I think that really will enhance the center just simply by having all the greenery. So I'm just throwing that out there to whatever landscape company you're working with, and whatever trees are chosen, that I mean, we have a lot of trees in town that the city planted and that are starting to lift sidewalks and crack curbs. Matter of fact, we had one right across the street, so I'm just saying that out loud now, so that we begin to put that in the thought process of when we do get to the building, that we do it in a conscientious manner that makes sure that what we plant today, 10 years later, we're not ripping out and having to replace concrete plus the tree. So I just want to throw that out there.
You know, just to respond, Mayor, absolutely aware of that, and every tree will have a root barrier that directs the roots
Well,
down.
my understanding is not so much the root barrier, because I've had root barriers and they just go right through. It's, as I read and tried to learn more about it, because I definitely don't like tearing them out and fixing sidewalks, is that if you water them deeply, so you basically put a drain so it sits below the tree root, that the roots of the tree will follow the water. And the problem with current systems and even my own trees is that I was a dummy. I planted them and I just water them up on top, and so roots will follow water. And they're usually, or they're right next to the lawn. And so I figured, oh, I don't need to put any water on that tree. It's getting all the water it needs because it's traveling underneath the sidewalk, and the root comes right back and lifts the sidewalk.
Yes, absolutely.
Got a lot of problems.
Yeah. I just don't want to create more in a nice new center. Okay, those are my comments, and then I'll go ahead and open this up to the public. Any member of the public wishing to comment on this item may do so at this time.
Okay. Just wanted to remind you, it's nice that these people are shining something real shiny in front of us, gathering our attention. Just want to remind you, in Salinas, they're missing $11 million. Because the guy went there and shined some shiny stuff and said they can get some homeless housing. We got to make sure any future development that these companies are going to be solvent and even contractors. Because that's the mistake Salinas and King City did. They didn't check the backgrounds of these companies, if they're solvent. Soon as he got the money in Salinas for $11 million for 3 hotels and 1.
Mr. Martinez, could you please stick to the subject?
I am, but I want to make sure we don't get ripped off like King City and Salinas. I want to make sure our
you're
dream
talking-
comes true.
Okay,
Our dream, well, this is the 3rd generation of my family is going to graduate from high school who is not going to use the facilities. They're going to go to college. They're going to love the big cities and they're not going to come back. I just want to make sure we're safe. We're looking at everywhere to make the money stays in town and doesn't file bankruptcy and say, oh, I'm broke. I have no more money. I just want to make sure that we're not looking at that shiny thing and then we get screwed with the bankruptcy. That's all I want. I want the thing built. I have no complaint of what they want to do. I just want to make sure we're not being dangled with something shiny and then here we go following it. And then next you know, bam, we're broke. Okay?
thank you, Ms. Martinez. I understand now. Anyone else?
Yeah, Roman Barber, 123 Second Street. Far cry from the first original structures that we're gonna have. I think these buildings here are a little cookie cutter. I don't like them. The buildings remind me of, I worked at the car dealership for 40 years, and they remind me of a car dealership because of all the windows. I believe there's too many windows. Reason we had car dealerships is because we had windows so we could see the people coming on the lots. I don't think it, and then I saw the gym, windows all the way around. You know, when you're in a gym, you want privacy. You don't want somebody staring through the window watching you work out, especially a girl, right? You see the guys all staring at you, but yeah, I didn't like the design. I just wondered about if they have flat roofs. That I hate that too. I mean, it's kind of cookie cutter, the whole design. Another thing I didn't like is that it's just the whole design, basically. I just didn't like the windows. There's too many windows. I think maybe you should get rid of some of those windows. I don't think you need all those windows. Wanted to know if there's gonna be a sound wall because my sister lives on Rincon on one side facing that. And my mom lives on the other side of Rincon. So I just wonder if there's, how high is that sound wall gonna be? Are they gonna put a wall there? And get rid of those fences right there or what? Because you know, the noise from the parties or whatever, you have the residents there. So I know my sister, and I'm sure you guys know my sister Alma. She won't hesitate to pick up that phone. Yeah, I just think it's a cookie cutter design. I hate the design. Totally hate the design. So the original design that we had before, when we went door to door to these people, we showed them the other design. I wish they came a little close to that design that we had before, because if you show this design to these people here, and we went door to door on the election day, we showed that design. A little cookie color, maybe you're trying to save money here or what, but that design is awful. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, all right. See no one else coming up. I'll go ahead and ask Marisol, do we have anyone via Zoom?
No comments via Zoom.
Mary, any comments via email?
No comments via email.
Okay, well, we'll bring, I'll go ahead and close the public meeting. I'll go ahead and bring it back to council for any further discussion. If not, I believe this is just a report and no council action is required.
I,
Wait,
I just want to say that, when we show information or designs or pictures to the public, we really need to make sure that these are actual approved, designs, and not mislead folks into believing that this is what's going to be built. It's just totally wrong. That's all I have.
all right, only comment I have is just continue, just keep in mind the thing about the trees, and I'm glad you're wiring it for solar. All righty, moving on to item 13, and that is the emergency declaration for repairs to our,
Actually, Mr. Mayor, are we needing item number 12 or?
oh, I apologize. I guess I saw this and I thought to myself, wait a minute. And this is preparation for city council rules and procedures. I thought that was covered under the Brown Act, but maybe I'm wrong, and Rob's Rules of Order. So I will defer that and take that over to staff for a a staff report. I apologize. Thank you, Scott.
Mayor Mike Rodriguez is going to go ahead and introduce this item.
I figured that was Mike's.
Good evening, council. First, I wanted to start by apologizing for not being there in person. I was a victim of the atmospheric river this weekend, and all the flights down in LA were canceled, so I didn't get back until this afternoon, so didn't have the opportunity to jump in the car and drive down, so I do apologize. But moving on to the staff report, staff is seeking direction from the council this evening on the item, the issue of establishing a set of rules and procedures. The city of Gonzales is one of the few cities in this particular area that does not have a set of rules and procedures applicable to council meetings and business. If you recall, one of the things that we started to do when City Manager Gill came on board was to take a look at some of our older procedures and code provisions and see whether or not they needed to be updated. We've already updated some of the sections having to do with city manager and procurement and so forth. Probably are going to be bringing you some proposed changes on issues having to do with the purchase of items and bidding and so forth in the near future. But this item also came to a head recently for a couple of reasons. One is, as you recall, or you probably heard in the past few months, there have been a number of cities who've had their council meetings disrupted. And the indication is that those cities that had a set of rules and protocols were the cities that were best able to handle and deal with the types of disruptions that I was talking about at open meetings. Secondly, the council is going to be switching over to district voting. The city is in the upcoming election in November. And so there's a good chance that we're going to have some new council members and perhaps some council members who are not as involved with city business and so forth, and so that they will need some new different type of guidance and so forth. So it's not uncommon at all for cities to adopt a set of rules and protocols for their meetings. And in response to what you said, Mayor, the rules and protocols often go either beyond what is required by the Brown Act and Robert's Rules of Orders, and often deal with other issues that are relevant to the business that the council has to transact. So a typical set of rules will contain guidelines for both staff and the council on the preparation of council agendas, conducting meetings for both the council as well as subsidiary bodies such as the Planning Commission and various committees that will be formed, council staff communications, preparation for council meetings, placing items on future agendas and seeking information from staff members on particular topics, provisions to ensure compliance with the Brown Act, provisions to establish the appointment process for council members and members of the public to various boards and committees, and often very important, especially recently, rules of decorum for both the council and the public to be employed during the course of meetings. By way of example, one of the issues that came up today at the meeting was whether or not it was appropriate for the chief of police to respond to the issue of the drone, and that is actually an appropriate response for the council to ask a member of staff to provide a brief response to a comment that is received. It seemed like we were sort of segueing into a more detailed discussion of that, but I did want to indicate that the initial direction and request to have a staff member respond to an issue that was raised during public comment is appropriate. And that's the sort of thing that we can sort of build into a set of rules and protocols. If you recall, some of you should recall, because you were on the council, this issue of perhaps adopting a set of rules and protocols came up a few years back under City Manager Mendez, but for a variety of reasons, it just never got off the drawing board, and the whole concept was abandoned. I attached so that you can see how these rules look and go further than just the Brown Act and Robert's Rules of Orders. The set of protocols and procedures for meeting from the city of Greenfield, the city of Soledad, and probably the most recent, the LAFCO procedures and so forth. So for you to get a look at what other cities are doing, what they have embodied in their sets of rules and protocols. What staff is doing tonight is asking for some direction as to whether or not the council wants staff itself to try to prepare a draft set of rules and protocols, or alternatively, if the council wants to form a subcommittee and have that subcommittee take a look at some of these various rules and protocols and decide what they'd like to see embodied in a set of rules and protocols. Or thirdly, to request that the staff go out for a request for proposals from folks who prepare these documents on a regular basis and professional basis, or alternatively, don't take any action at all. But as part of, like I said, the overall action of sort of cleaning up some of our old municipal codes and then bringing some new policies and documents forward for council use, council is bringing this to you at this time to get some direction. Happy to take any questions from anybody.
Council, any questions before I open it up to the public? Okay.
Michael, can you do this? Can you speak a little bit closer into the microphone? I'm sorry. Sorry. Michael, can you put these rules and protocols together? Are you someone that if we give you direction? Yeah, I could prepare a set of rules and protocols, and we could work from a draft. I could prepare a draft and then bring it forward for consideration and comment from you and direction as to what you do or do not like, that sort of thing. That would be something that I could do. I don't have an idea right now as to what an outside consultant, for instance, would charge you. But I did note that I went through in preparing this staff report. I went through and looked at some of the various other cities in California that have adopted these rules, and in some cases, it's clear that they did farm it out to somebody. We're likely to get more of a general set of rules if we go out to a consultant than something that's specific to what the council wants, I think, if we use an outside person, but that's not necessarily the case. But we could do this, and with the budgetary constraints that we have, that might not be a bad idea. Yeah, an outside, my opinion is that an outside consultant doesn't know us, like we know us. And I also think that for those of you that are sitting up here, we all know what protocols are and everything, but after having discussions with other cities last week with California cities, I think we all learned how important it is to have a set of rules and regulations and protocols. So I'm all for this. I know Carmen, she heard us because we all talked about it while we were there. So I personally think, this is my opinion again, that I don't think we need to hire a consultant from the outside. That's just more money that we don't need to spend. So that's where I am on this. Thank you, Michael. I just thought I'd ask the question.
Well, it sounds like there's entities that have already implemented something like this. So maybe instead of us reinventing the wheel, let's just take the wheel they got. No, no.
Now, Michael, I have a quick question.
Sure.
That's right.
Like I said, it wouldn't be called plagiarism, it's just sharing information. So I would assume that once, if we go forward, I'm also in favor of something like this to be implemented. So once it's adopted, it then becomes a living document for the city, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, Soledad's had a set of rules and protocols for a while, and that document periodically gets updated. I mean, it's not something that gets pulled up every year, but there definitely have been times when they have decided to make some changes to that document for a variety of reasons. And sometimes they're related to really simple matters or changes to the law that require a change to the rules and so forth. And other times they've been just changes in policy based on the majority will of the members of the council.
Thank you.
I believe, Mr. Brown, you had a comment? Oh, okay. I thought I heard you speak up. Well, I just read it. There's like a menu right there. It said, like, don't like, let's play, get something on. I think it's easy.
Yeah.
All right. If there's no other comments, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the public for their comments. So anyone from the public wishing to comment on this item may do so at this time. It's now open for any comments on this item. No? All right, nobody's rushing to the podium. All right, Marisol, anyone via Zoom?
No comments via Zoom.
Mary, any comments via email?
No comments via email.
Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public comment period, bring it back for either council discussion or motion from a council member.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just weigh in, I agreed. I think, I mean, obviously we abide by the Brown Act and so forth. That's our main guidelines. Having an additional document for assistance would be nice. As noted, for future new council members, for future, even kind of thinking of like the youth council and so forth to, have a, quick understanding of protocols and so forth, something they can refer to on the website, et cetera. I like simple. Obviously the examples were given us, we got some pretty in-depth examples, and then, I think the LAFCO one's probably a little more simplistic. Anyhow, I'm definitely in favor of something. I think the shorter the better, but,
All right, well, it sounds like everybody's in favor, but I do need a motion.
Do we need a motion? Or
No, you know what? I just need direction. We don't need a vote. And yeah, I can assure you, I'm not going to write a whole scale set of rules and procedures without reference to other documents. I'll be looking for language from other documents.
Sweet.
Okay,
in a binder.
all right, Mr. Rodriguez, it sounds like you got an approval from the council, but again,
All right.
let's not write the next Bible. A simple version will be fine.
I'll do my best.
All righty. Thank you. So that item is closed and we'll move on. Now we can move on to item 13. Emergency on the diocese for emergency repairs to our wastewater treatment facilities. Staff report? Okay.
Yep. Mayor Rios, council members, the treatment plant has been operating just fine up until 10 to 14 days ago when public works staff noticed that the percolation ponds, or I should say the disposal fields where the treated wastewater percolates back into the ground, the rate had slowed, and we believe it's related to higher groundwater levels due to the wet winter last year and the wet winter that we've been having so far this winter. We went into the weekend asking the three major egg processing facilities to decrease their processed water to the degree they could. An example is Taylor Farm said, will eliminate a cleaning cycle, and that saved them about 100,000 gallons. And I was surprised to hear that's how much is used in a sanitation cycle. And, you know, we did get through the weekend, but we're very concerned about the disposal fields continuing to move forward. And the typical is that we have, in our 3 disposal fields that we have, we alternate. And so there's A, B, and C. We put water in A. You know, it's there for several weeks. B and C are dry, and we're able to go into B and or C and rip those fields with our tractor and the 4-foot teeth that we have at the end of that device. That's a very important because it breaks the crust. It gets us down to better percolating soil. We're not able to do that at this point. What we're looking at is, yes, emergency work, and the step 1 would be increasing the levees that we have between these and restoring some of the capacity. So these levees have been eroded over time. Yes, they're still existing, but important to get somebody on board immediately to raise the levees. We did consider, and we talked with the regional board about this on Friday, do we look to adding a 4th disposal field and actually on land where the industrial wastewater plant will go, because in phase 2, there will be disposal fields adjacent to these disposal fields. Tiffany Twisselman visited that site with Keith Day this afternoon, and the basic outcome was, you know, it's so muddy, they'd have to basically remove the top 2 feet of mud to get to any competent soil. And so it's back to looking at, you know, plan A is raising the levees at the disposal fields we have now. We will probably do that in conjunction with going to rain for rent and actually running the treated wastewater from the disposal fields all the way back to the headworks where we have a 300,000 gallon emergency overflow basin. So the typical is that would be used if there's an incident at the headworks or near the headworks. That's where we could put untreated wastewater. We're talking about treated wastewater here. So this, you know, we went into the weekend knowing this was an issue. You know, we're okay at this point, but we need to have a plan to deal with or develop a plan to improve or increase the volume in the disposal fields. So that's emergency work. You know, when during a storm, we get some additional water through what's called inflow and infiltration. And that comes through unpermitted connections to our wastewater system, such as private storm drains connected to our sewer system, water entering the sewer system, let's say brick manholes. We have 50 brick manholes in the city of Gonzales, you know, and other means where stormwater enters. You know, we see a little bit of a spike, but it's not a big spike, but it does add to the water that goes to the wastewater treatment plant. We were in communication with the, you know, 3 main processing plants. Of course, it's Taylor, Del Monte with Braga, and Del Monte with Manpacking and Braga. So we're in communications with each of them. Just a kind of a sidebar is, you know, Sam at Taylor Farm says, you know, Patrick, it's Super Bowl week and we need to, there's a peak of processing over the next 3 days, just as a little aside. But we wanted to present this resolution. We need to be moving forward and looking at what are the steps to increase the storage at our disposal fields. And anything else to add to that, Mike? You have in front of them?
No, the only thing I have to add is that a resolution of this type, which is an emergency resolution, requires a supermajority for approval. So it requires a 4/5 vote to pass.
Any questions from council for staff?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, Patrick, I see it's about $250,000 and we do have the funds in the enterprise fund or that particular fund. There is.
So Carmen checked with Mike.
Yeah, they would be coming out of the sewer impact fund, so
Okay.
directly out of sewer. So we do have the funds there to cover this.
And how soon, based on our current weather conditions, how soon can the repairs begin on the levees? Because I'm sure you can't go out there tomorrow and do it because it's so muddy.
We're meeting with another contractor tomorrow. I understand the question, but I don't have the answer. And we'll be, we'll be keeping we'll be communicating with the council as we move through this, and there's definitely gonna be a report at the next council meeting. But as we move through this over the, the next week, as we pull this together, and one of the comments is, so how was $250,000 arrived at? Basically, it's, if we engage a contractor to do heavy earth moving, large equipment, it's to the order of $20,000 to $25,000 a day, and I was looking for 10 days authorization.
And this is the kind of repair that would not require us to go out for bids, the RFP.
Because it's under emergency declaration
okay.
and if we could, we would start work tomorrow, so.
So work will begin as soon as it's possible to get in there.
Correct.
Okay,
And it's gonna be performed on a time and materials basis.
perfect. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, yeah, so follow-up question. So, obviously it's an emergency and so forth, and we're gonna take it out of the wastewater treatment, fund, if you will. Is there any opportunity, as different declarations were made throughout the state, et cetera, is there any opportunity to grab onto any funding out there to assist with subsidizing these dollars so we don't, so it's doesn't completely deplete some of our fund?
Mike, I don't know if you want to chime in there. We are gonna look at if there's anything out there. We did look at the state declared an emergency for Southern California, not necessarily for our area. So I'm not sure that this would qualify for that, but we definitely will explore it.
Sure.
Mike, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, no, we had sort of had that discussion earlier today that we will look for any funding sources that become available as a result of funds being made available to folks who suffered damages as a result of the storms, the atmospheric river and so forth. Last time the entire state declared an emergency, not just individual counties, and then Monterey County itself had declared an emergency. That may still happen, and if that's the case, then we may be in a good position to try to apply for a variety of funding sources.
Additional questions? Okay. All right, I'll open up to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to comment on this item may do so at this time.
Nope, Cindy's still staying put.
Okay, no running up to the podium, all righty. Then I'll go ahead and ask Marisol, do we have any comments via Zoom?
No comments via Zoom.
Mary, any comments via email?
No comments via email.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and close the public comment period and bring it back to council for any further discussion. And if not, I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, resolution, City Council of the City of Gonzales declaring an emergency pursuant to section 22050 of the Public Contract Code and section 316.030 of the Gonzales Municipal Code, authorizing emergency work at the city wastewater treatment plant in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
I'll second the motion for resolution number 2024-03.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously.
And Moose Rock?
Well, this is the thing we've been talking about for a while.
And Mr. Dollars, before I forget, I know, and I'm not sure he's reached out to you, but the adjacent farmer is Amaral Ranches. And they've indicated to me that they're willing to work with the city to smooth out the road, but weren't sure if they could bring their equipment in and do that. And I did tell them, I said, double check with Patrick, because I am not the public works director, but a smooth road would benefit your operation as well as ours, and I can't see him saying no. Please, but do please reach out to
Okay.
Patrick Dobbins. So I don't know if he's done that.
I have not heard from him, but
Okay.
I'm on the same page with you.
I'll follow up with him and let him know that
Perfect.
we're open to that idea.
Sounds great.
Great.
Love working with our neighbors.
Okay, great. All right, Gonzales Youth Commissioners, your report.
Yes, good evening, staff and council. So today, as you all know, the GYC met with the construction firm, and they basically, what they told you, they told us in much greater detail A lot of the youth just asked questions about like the material that you guys have on the table. Our youth were able to go up and feel and see and even smell the different kind of materials that they have. We gave them their feedback on what we did and didn't like, so they have a better understanding on what kind of color palette and what kind of materials we wanted inside the community center. So we've been having a pretty close relationship ever since we started working with them. So glad to hear all that. And another thing that the youth were also really excited about from their report was their kitchen garden that they'll be having, because a lot of our youth did express that they wanted a community garden, but having something like a kitchen garden sounded like it'll make them happy. So we're really glad to see that there's some sort of garden aspect in our community center. Another update that we have coming up is our prevention week at the high school. This prevention week specifically is towards the alcohol and drug use within high schools. And this prevention week is going to be in February from the 20th to the 23rd. It's hosted by Gonzales High School, like an event that they're doing for the students, but the GYC also hopped on board and decided to collaborate with them. So like from the like the 4 days that we have school from that week, they'll have like different stations each day. So like Monday will be a station with like Sun Streets talking about like specifically like drug prevention. Another day would be like Tuesday with the Epicenter, where they'll talk about alcohol use and all that kind of stuff. So that's coming up in February, and the GYC has really put a lot of their hard work and effort into this week. So we're really looking forward to spread that information amongst our youth. And our last update is with our mental health project with our manuscript. Aaliyah has been working really close with Dr. Lavelle regarding our mental health project. If you remember, a couple years back, the GYC collaborated with CSUMB Professor Dr. Lavelle, and they did surveys. I think it was back our COVID year, regarding like how students were feeling during school. And we got a pretty good idea over like the past 3 years, like how the mental health specifically of the Gonzales High School students have been. So Aaliyah, as well as Dr. Lavelle's assistants, Kimmy and Rosa, have been working very vigorously on their manuscript that should be out pretty soon with the results of all that research over the past 3 years. And yeah, that's my report out. Are there any questions or feedback from me?
Right? Yes.
Great update, appreciate it.
Quick question. You mentioned something about the drug prevention part of it. Are you working collaboratively with Sun Street Centers? And if so, are you going to be part of the Narcan distribution on the 25th of this month?
I believe so. We are attending that event. Leah could have like a little more information because she's more involved in that aspect. But yeah, I think we are going to be there. The chief also should be there at one of our events for the Narcan and all that. But yeah, we are going to be most likely involved in that as well. So yes.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Mr. Nagley, as always, thank you very much for the updates. Sincerely appreciate it. We'll move on to committee reports, and I get to be the lucky one to start. So I attended TAMC, and of course, the discussion centers around two major arteries, which is Highway 68 and 156. Supervisor Lopez has become the new chair. Mayor Labar ended his term, and Supervisor Lopez did bring up the day before the accident from the young man from Soledad who got hit and killed as he tried to make that left-hand turn off of Spence Road. SOS is the South of Salinas project. I can honestly tell you it's probably, based on my history with TAMC, that I've been on there before and I am now, it's at least 8 to 10 years away from any work really being viable and seen, because they've got environmental impact reports. If they have to purchase land, there's, eminent domain process, like la, 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 it just goes on and on. The discussion on the 156 kind of got a little bit heated, and I bit my tongue as much as I didn't want to buy it. The reason it got a little heated was they finally got, PG&E was not stepping up and taking care of providing plans and cost estimates for moving gas transmission lines and electric transmission lines and electric distribution lines. I think Caltrans was taken aback because the price tag came at $24 million to do that work. They did get 60% plans from PG&E, so they're pretty much done, but I rode back with the Caltrans folks and they asked me, what's it that much? We couldn't understand it. We budgeted $500,000. And I said, yeah. I said, anytime you're dealing with transmission, I said, it's just not one steel tower that you're gonna move. Because it's electromagnetic fields and it requires a CEQA report. He goes, what, it does? I said, yes, it does. I said, not only that, but because it is transmission, then you have to interact with the Casio, California Independent System Operator. So typically when I was quote unquote doing these two new type of business jobs, as soon as they said transmission, it was 1.5 as an engineering deposit. They're like, what? I said, that's what I would ask for, 1.5. You got two transmission type of equipment, that's $3 million is just an initial engineering deposit. The gas transmission line that they're talking about having to move is basically what feeds the entire Monterey Peninsula. So it's not a simple cutting the pipe here, cutting the pipe here, and then running a new one. As you can imagine, you just can't do that. They're probably having anchors to set up and be able to feed the peninsula while they make the cuts. I'm sure they'll basically run parallel pipes until they're ready to make the cut. Anyway, it's a lot more complicated. I was really surprised at the comments from Caltrans that, like I said, I didn't throw them under the bus. I figured I'd save it because they gave me a ride home and I definitely wanted to ride home. So I figured it's better not to bite the hand that feeds me. The 168, we are starting to see the no 168 turnaround roundabouts. There's a core group of folks that are definitely against it. I'm not sure if they haven't really gone through roundabouts because the ones that I've gone through, being in Marina and in Soledad, boy, it's nice not to stop. You just kind of have to watch. I mean, not that I drive anymore, honestly. I haven't driven in a couple of years, but the times that I did drive through them, it was a lot easier. But we're starting to get that core group of people say, nope, 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 just build another highway. Easier said than done. As it is, this one's gonna take quite a while to get accomplished. They've had the open workshops and again, there's a core group of folks, no, 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 no. So we'll see how that goes. My feeling is keep saying no, we'll take that money and put it on the SOS project. I'd rather fix the 101 because I'm sure we'll get less no-no-nos. All right, moving on to the Mayor Select Committee. The meeting was held in Salinas at the new police department. Wow. $52 million for that facility, but what a facility. What I thought was extremely interesting was, believe it or not, they have a shooting range, but they also provide, and I don't know, Chief, maybe you guys have taken advantage of it, maybe not, and I kind of hope not, only because those guys are recruiting. Apparently they're at 130 sworn officers, but they have 180 is what's their number. So they are recruiting. And so I did tell Mr. Murphy, John Murray, the current guy that's running the office there, I says, hey, don't come to Gonzales. We'll make sure you're arrested before you get into town. He's like, hey, you guys got good officers and we don't mind you paying them a little bit more. And I says, yeah.
Might add on to that real quick. So today they have a swearing in for two officers. One was David Pritt, who's a relative of mine, he's now a sergeant. But Luis Bravo, born and raised in Dallas, raised, went through our schools, got hired at the police department, left us to go to Salinas PD way back, I think when I was a corporal. And he got promoted today to commander.
Wow.
They get good folks from Gonzales.
That's true.
Folks from Gonzales.
Yep.
Good quality folks.
Yeah.
So, it's based on training. Everything else we provide.
Yeah, and I understand Monterey's low on officers as well, and they're providing. It was interesting because as we were getting the tour, a gentleman by the name of Jimmy, a sergeant, was giving us a tour, and he was talking to the mayor of Monterey saying what a great offer that they had. Apparently, they can transfer their PERS if they go over to Monterey and their seniority. So there's a lot of folks out there hunting. Unfortunately, we're the little fish. So just a heads up. And the other part of the meeting was basically setting up for future discussion items and dates and times, because we had to move a few dates and times. July fell on the 5th, which is, we didn't think we'd have enough members. Anyway, that was the gist of that meeting. Moving on to Salinas Recycles.
Thank you. We held our first meeting for 2024 on January 18th. And at that time, we re-elected our executive committee for their second term, which include Anthony Rocha from Salinas as the president, Ben Jimenez from Soledad as our vice president, and Glenn Church from the Board of Supervisors as alternate VP. At that meeting, we also discussed some of the preliminary information for our upcoming budget 24-25. And our next meeting will be on Thursday, February 15th at 6 p.m. here in our council chambers.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I've got the last one, Central Coast Community Energy Partnership. The only meeting we've had since our last meeting was a closed door session. It was to discuss real estate. So that's all I can share with you. But that's the only meeting we've had. So I think what it is we're spreading to so many counties that we obviously can't just hold everything in one location. So my guess is they're gonna move staff around, but not specifically know the exact address or location. So I'll leave it at that. All right, moving on to council discussion, and we'll start this time on my right-hand side. Ms. Worthy, would you start?
Right. The only thing that I have is I just want to mention that Councilmember Silva and myself and our city manager attended the League of Cities conference last week in Monterey. They are now calling it, they're not calling it New Mayors and Council, they're calling it Mayor and Council Academy. And I have to admit that I'm one of those people that says, I don't want to go to these things. I think they're a pain in the neck. I, listened to all this stuff and I learned a lot. And I really was interested, especially in the state of our state. One of our big concerns obviously are the deficits that are going on in the state of California and the concerns about allocation of funds. And I know that all of us that sit in this room are concerned about that. So I know that we're all keeping an eye on it. We were at a surplus and now we're at a $60 billion deficit in the state of California, which from a business perspective, I think that's ridiculous. But anyway, I'm hopeful that everything will work itself out. But we did meet the council members and mayors from different cities. Especially interesting was the ones from Watsonville. So we were able to talk to them, very great people, and also all of the people that we work with in our county. But I really enjoyed myself and I enjoyed spending time with Councilmember Silva and our city manager. So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Ms. Silva.
I have to say ditto. I too haven't attended any of the League of California Cities conferences for a while. I too learned a lot. And I think that the big takeaway is sometimes we think that our city we're the only ones that have the issues that we have, which include housing. Obviously, some cities have them on a much bigger scale, but we're not alone in the fight. As Lorraine mentioned, we were able to talk with members of different councils from Santa Cruz County, San Benito County, Monterey County, and did a lot of networking that way. There was a few from Southern California, yeah. The housing, it's number one, I think, for all our cities. Road conditions, we're not alone. The other thing that kind of struck me was we're not alone either in the lack of community to come forward and serve on the council or on commissions or on committees. It's statewide, and I don't know how you get people to the table. I was one of those persons that would come to the meetings and ask questions after coming and raising concerns. I said, well, maybe I should try to be part of the solution. So I encourage people to come forward and help be part of the solution. We can't do it alone. We are 5 people up here trying to take everybody's concerns and interests to heart every time we make a decision. And we don't make the decisions lightly. So I also encourage people, there's an upcoming primary on March 5th. Make sure you're registered to vote. And if you are registered to vote, please vote. On another note, I had a really good time last Saturday. The Blue Zones Project, in conjunction with the city, brought chair yoga to our town. Woohoo! And it was held at the Vosti Rec Center from 9 to 10. It'll be held for the next 7 Saturdays. I encourage people. It was a little, I was scared to go. It's like, okay, I'm probably not going to be able to walk the next day because I haven't stretched or exercised for a very long time. But I have to be honest, I was fine the next day. The teacher was great. She took it at a really good pace. The hour went by fast, and I told my mom, even though I wasn't moving a lot, I was perspiring. So great teacher, great place. I even warned Carmen yesterday that there's been a lot of talk on Facebook, on social media. A lot of people didn't know about it, even though the information's out there. I think there's going to be probably a lot more people. I think initially we had about 15 or 16 participants besides the instructor, the city staff. And we also had a presentation from Alliance on Aging. And so, I encourage people, come out. It's only an hour of your day. It's not bad. Wear comfortable clothing because you will bend. You sit on a chair, but you're going to be bending, twisting, turning, and you might feel a little sore the next day, but it's a good soreness. So thank you to the City of Salinas and to Blue Zones Project for bringing this to our town.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, Mr. Frum.
Actually, nothing additional tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Orozco.
Thank you. Just want to give a big thank you to Carmen and Patrick. Last month on the 24th, we had a community meeting with the Meyer Park residents on some of the issues that they had brought up last year. And we heard a presentation from staff on what the city has done to resolve some of those problem issues. And
How many people did it?
we had about 10.
Okay.
But there is some continued work to be done, but it was a good meeting, and I think folks really appreciated the information. So thank you for putting that together. Also would like to invite folks for our annual Lenten dinners that we're going to be starting at St. Mary's Church. We'll be starting those right after Ash Wednesday. So for more information on that, you can call the parish office, and or Liz and I will have tickets as well. So thank you. Also wanted to mention, I know there's, all the cities are facing and struggling financially and looking for ways to find new sources for revenue. But I know we've had some discussions a while back on some of our leases and city-owned properties. And I know that we've had conversations about, what the monthly rental fees are for some of those properties. So is it possible to bring back maybe as an informational report on where we are? And I know that the one that comes to mind is the one that's going to be coming up here, which is our building next door. The 3-year lease term is going to be coming up here pretty soon. So it'd be kind of interested to see where we are and what we need to do to take a look at those leases. So just as an informational item. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Well, I'll continue on your theme regarding fees. I was asking the police department why there's a semi parked over in Arroyo Estates, or excuse me, Kaufman and Broad. And they say that they've ticketed on a regular basis. The guy comes in and pays us $35 and continues to park there. I think we need to start upping what we charge folks, because if $35 obviously is something he can just write down as a business expense, let's make that business expense a little more higher. Same thing with the RVs. Yeah, they move for a little while and then they're back, and apparently the whatever fee that we're charging is not enough to dissuade those folks from continuing to do that. So in that vein, I'd like to also discuss, and have maybe something agendized for next month's meeting to discuss either a committee of some sort. I really would like to see how we can discourage the illegal fireworks. I don't think we'll ever really eliminate it because unfortunately, once the cat was let out of the bag, it's hard to get that cat back in the bag. So, if council's agreeable to that, I mean, personally, I'm okay with safe and sane, but I
Yeah.
think the illegal, we need to definitely look at that. I think there's enough members in our community that maybe by getting them to volunteer and to participate in something like this, maybe they'll see, Ms. Silva, the need, that maybe they can't get it done one way, maybe they'll come up here and join us, right?
Excuse me, like we had a community member, Mr. Sarita, came up and he's come up to our council several times and asking, I would like to invite him to be on that such committee.
Okay, well.
And I have another resident too that's been calling me, but City of Seaside just did something where they had a committee of some sort and did come up with a policy on
They
fireworks.
just approved an ordinance to, to set a curfew. Basically, they're not allowing safe and sane after 10 o'clock.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's one thing that could be done. Anyway,
Could we get that agendized, Carmen, so that at least we begin to discuss it and have it, I said, maybe we.
perhaps get a copy of what they did for
Yeah.
City of Seaside.
So the other item that I discussed, but I've already discussed it with Carmen, and I believe the police department is doing their fair share of going about and finding those cars that are in violation. I see so many cars, that basically park across the sidewalk, across the driveway. And so the kids are having to go around them in the street. So I know that we have, a lot of crime in our community, I guess, but and I've shared this with Carmen, I think, if we're really gonna create a safe route to schools, then one of the things that we need to begin to do is when we see those types of violations, unless they're going out to some emergency call, I'd like to see that officer come over and hand them a ticket. There you go. Do it again. We're gonna up that. I said, if we have consistent violators, I think those consistent violators should start seeing an increase in the fines because that's the only way you discourage folks from not blocking a walkway. I have, I personally have a daughter-in-law who's got a stroller, has got the little one, going to go pick up her son at La Gloria, and she's had to go around cars. She's even voiced to me, why can't you do something about it, Suegro? And I'm like, we're trying. There's a lot of folks that violate that. I mean, we had a catering truck over here on Bellman that was parking and the hitch was across the sidewalk. So again, luckily they had enough of an apron that could go around on the apron. But to me, I mean, that should be a given, if we're gonna.
It's also the basketball courts that are on the sidewalks and the basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Hoops, thank
Basketball
you.
hoops. Yeah, so those are things that I think,
Eventually.
ask nicely the first time and then let's just, if we're looking at how we increase our funds in our city, I think that's more than fair and legitimate. You want to do the crime, you do the time and you pay for it. Sorry, that's just the way I feel about it. I mean, personally, when I would accidentally park my truck in the driveway there because I was unloading something, Eva would come out and she says, really? Really? Move the truck. But I mean, I gotta move it. I don't care. Move the truck. Yes, ma'am. Cause she's right. She's right. I was blocking the driveway or the sidewalk going through the driveway. So I'd park it out in the street, pull whatever I needed out that I couldn't pull it underneath the carport, like a refrigerator, washing machine. But now, oh, sorry, hon, I can't see anymore. I can pull it out, but I can't drive. And she parked that once, so I got to go, excuse me, you're parking. Oh, you're right. Got you. Anyway, those are my only comments for today. I'll end it there. Comments from our city manager.
All right, so I too, as you heard, attended the League of Cities conference a week ago, and it was great. I also picked up a lot of really good information and even more ideas to bring forth. I also want to make sure that I thank all the staff that worked over the weekend tirelessly to make sure that our city stayed safe this weekend. Public Works was constantly monitoring the situation, monitoring the ponds. And also shout out to Frank, because when there was a family in need that during the outage that really needed some life-saving equipment, we made sure to get it to that family to make sure that they can continue staying safe. So
Carmen, which Frank? Because we have two Franks now. Frank Wonderful.
Valladares,
Ah.
Valladares. So yes, thanks, Patrick. Please make sure you let Frank know that I appreciate his work over the weekend. And then I will be out at the League of Cities conference, City Manager Conference this Wednesday to Friday. And I also did want to say thank you to the folks that not only attended chair yoga, but are helping us pay for the chair yoga and the instructor. So Blue Zones and then the Alliance on Aging. We've got more activities for seniors coming up. So I think it's going to be a good time. I am starting to get the questions about what about us though? So we might have to increase the age if it allows and if there's room. But it's good to see people enjoying themselves and being active. And we will, this was mentioned earlier too, but we will be announcing 2 positions that are opening on Measure K. We're filling 1, and unfortunately 2 others are met their terms, so they will be coming off. So we'll be seeing 2 openings on there too. Keep an eye out for those, and then just let the community know to continue to stay safe out there, stay off the roads if you can, and just protect yourself and your family and your loved ones, and continue to take care of each other. That's all I have.
Well, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Good evening. Just want to let you know that on Monday, January 22nd, the Planning Commission held a workshop on the housing element that is out there for public release and public review right now, and it has another week to run through the 12th, which will be actually another Planning Commission meeting where we can receive comments and then gather those comments together and ship them off to the state. We also, on Friday, February 2nd, released the Vista Lucia EIR. So it's on the street. So that means 2 big checkoffs is the specific plan is written and the environmental review process has begun for 45 days. And posted on the website, posted at the state, and we look forward to those comments. And we've received 1 set of comments so far on the housing element. And the commenter actually blended in comments on Vista Lucia EIR project as well. And that was from our friends at Land Watch.
Surprise.
But so we're in 2 public review periods right now for our housing element and this specific EIR. So it's a good time to check in on the website for your electronic, all the information's posted. So thank you very much.
Now, Tappan, have we filled the 2 empty seats on the Planning Commission?
I'm going to be speaking with Carmen about that real soon.
I was actually going to mention it in our meeting this morning, but I will mention it to you tomorrow because we had to reschedule. We have 2 candidates that submitted, and so you'll be looking at those and making a recommendation to the council, bringing them forth.
There's 2 vacancies?
No. There's 1 vacancy, two submittals.
Oh, I thought there was 2 vacancies.
Well, Myrna's the only.
Oh, I thought Mr. Paco had resigned. Adrian. Oh, I didn't see his name. I was under the impression he had resigned.
No, actually at the workshop, I held 22nd, didn't have a forum. Had 2 commissioners that were available at the workshop. Still looking at public meeting and have that meeting. So I
All right, anything from anyone else?
Yeah, just a few things. I hear what you're saying on this part of these tickets. I totally get it. Unfortunately, bail amounts fine amounts are based on the California Bell Schedule. There's California highway tax that comes out with every ticket we write that goes to the state, county court, everything else, and it's pretty much gauged. We are in the guidelines of other cities, is what we're finding people for parking regulation. We're able to cite for our ordinances because of the California Vehicle Code allows it. But it's all based on the uniform bell schedule. So as far as tickets being issued, tickets are issued, trust me. I see them all the time. I have to deal with complaints all the time. They're being issued. Unfortunately, yeah, you got your repeat customers. So we all know that, the RVs, the trailers, whatnot, but the officers go out there and actually look for vehicles blocking sidewalks because of that issue. It pushes pedestrians out in the street, and that's unsafe. You got a lot of kids that walk to school, a lot of elderly who walk on the sidewalks, or at least try to. When they're not broken and damaged, they try to do that. But when there's a car blocking it, yeah, they have to walk out the roadway. So, no, I hear you on that. We are partnering with the SPCA again for low-cost cat spay and neuter here in Gonzales. February 10th, which is next Saturday, this Saturday, at the police department for $35. They want you have to make an appointment. There's like 20 slots available. To make an appointment, email SPCA or call them. It's $35. That includes spay neuter for cats and kittens, includes a microchip and rabies vaccination for cats 2 months to 7 years old, 2 pounds and over, and only 2 pounds and over is for Gonzales residents.
What did you say the times were again? Oh, we have.
You have to call and make an appointment.
With the SPCA.
I'll give you that number if you make it.
Yeah. It's time. It's time.
264.
What is it?
264.
Yeah.
5400.
5400.
Yeah. So we'll plan on having some dog and puppy ones coming up in the next few months.
Oh, this is for cats.
Cats, yeah.
Oh, this one was cats. I thought you said dog.
No, we've never done cats before, so we're gonna have to get the cats spayed, chipped. So when we find them,
Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna call my neighbor.
Carmen, can we add that to our website? Is that possible?
it's on the city's website. It goes to the city website.
Okay.
Although I did notice that there's a glitch with the city website and our Facebook page. It's glitchy.
Okay, so you don't have any idea.
We're on a date. No, we'll wait on a date from the FCCA. Be the next couple of months.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if there's no other comments or questions, then I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second, anybody? All right, first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned.